Support for this podcast comes from St. Alphonsus Sports Medicine, offering services for sports injury and recovery, with physicians and athletic trainers who provide treatment for fractures, dislocations, sprains, strains, and other sports-related issues. More information on services at stalphonsus.org. So you can't see this, but hopefully you can hear it. Behind every Boise State Public Radio podcast is a team working hard to bring you stories that matter. So if you value podcasts like this one, please support them. Hit donate at boisestatepublicradio.org. Thanks.
It is Monday, May the 4th. Be with you. It's the Connector, Idaho Daily News from Boise State Public Radio. Good morning, I'm Troy Abbey. This morning, we know how long flags in Idaho will stay at half-mast in honor of former Governor Dirk Kempthorne. More water basin districts in central Idaho join a shared mitigation plan, and what's making Boise one of the fastest warming urban areas in the country. Those stories in a moment. First, this morning, 2 people, including a 16-year-old juvenile, were arrested early Sunday after the Ada County Sheriff's Office says investigators processing the scene of a suicide came under fire. 7 county officials were working the area near 10 Mile Creek and South Cole near Kuna. That included 3 forensic investigators and an investigator from the county coroner's office. They were all forced to take cover as bullets ricocheted off the ground near where they were working about 2:30 in the morning Sunday. Deputies on the scene identified a car driving with its lights out nearby and say they witnessed a weapon being thrown from the vehicle. The sheriff's office says 18-year-old Abel Olmos and a 16-year-old male were taken into custody without further incident. They face 7 counts each of aggravated assault and 1 count for the 16-year-old of destruction of evidence. More water basin districts in Idaho are joining the 2024 Stipulated Mitigation Plan, which sets groundwater conservation goals, storage obligations, and aquifer recharge efforts, all toward a goal of making water consumption across the eastern Snake Plain aquifer fair as water availability declines, and protecting senior water rights holders as allowed by law while doing it. Users in these areas who do not join a participating water district risk their water being shut off if resources dwindle. Participating means users might get less water, but they will get some. The Surface Water Coalition announced the Big and Little Lost River Basins and the Upper Big Lost River Basin groundwater districts have agreed to join the plan. Existing and newly negotiated districts will work under the terms of the mitigation plan, even as the addendum to it that adds the new district is considered by the Idaho Department of Water Resources for approval. The districts are also working toward an extension of the 2024 mitigation plan, which runs in 4-year cycles. Fossil fuel emissions and greenhouse gas are causing temperatures to rise in cities across the United States, but Boise is among the fastest warming urban areas in the country. Here's Julie Luqueta with more.
Since the 70s, cities across America have seen an almost 3-degree temperature increase on average. But Climate Central, a science research nonprofit, shows Boise has warmed up by 4.5 degrees in the last 6 decades. BSU geoscience professor Alejandro Flores.
Boise is actually warming at a rate that is above Idaho and above the United States.
Flores says that's in part because development is replacing irrigated lands with subdivisions and creating heat islands.
More paved areas, more asphalt, less farmland. That land use conversion actually has a really important effect on very local temperatures.
Winters are also getting shorter. Boise's cold season has shrunk by 9 days on average.
Meaning that we don't get those sort of big seasonal snowpacks, and that has a lot of cascading consequences.
Those include water supply shortages, drought, and higher wildfire risks. Julie Luqueta, Boise State Public Radio News.
In data collected by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, Boise ranked 14th out of 242 cities surveyed. Early voting for the May 19th statewide primary election opened in some parts of the state last week, but it arrives in Idaho's largest county starting today. Ada County is standing up 9 different early voting locations this election, including 2 new ones, the Lake Hazel Library in South Boise and the Orchard Park Library in Meridian. Early voting is also at City Hall buildings in Boise, Meridian, and Star. It's at Ada County Election Headquarters on Benjamin Lane and at libraries in Eagle, Kuna, and Bound Crossing. Any voter can vote at any early voting location, but the primary election does require registering with a political party to receive a ballot for that party. The state Republican Party does not allow voters to switch affiliations this close to Election Day in order to participate in the GOP primary. But if you are currently unaffiliated, you can register with a party at the polls. Early voting will run through May 15th. If you want to vote absentee, you have until May 8th, this Friday, to register for an absentee ballot. You can do that at voteidaho.gov. Flags in Idaho were ordered to half-staff April 25th in honor of Dirk Kempthorne, the former governor and U.S. Secretary of the Interior under President George W. Bush. Kempthorne died of cancer at the age of 73. Public events honoring his life were announced Friday. He will lie in state for 24 hours at the Idaho Capitol Rotunda beginning Friday, May 15th. A public memorial at Boise's Cathedral of the Rockies will take place at 11 a.m. Saturday, May 16th, after which a private procession of officials and invited guests will travel to the State Veterans Cemetery for Kempthorne's interment. Flags will return to full staff across Idaho at sunrise, May 17th. The city of Boise's historic preservation plan is undergoing a major review. That plan guides how the city protects buildings of a certain age or importance. It was initially adopted in 1979 and is carried out by the Historic Preservation Commission. A community survey has been open for several months already. In-progress results were shared with the Preservation Commission at a meeting last week by architectural historian and consultant Katie Pratt with the group Northwest Vernacular.
People generally talked about how they're concerned about older homes, protection of open space and agricultural land, pressure from developers to increase density or replace historic buildings.
About 450 responses to the 27-question survey have been received so far. The survey remains open on the Historic Preservation page at cityofboise.org. Responses will guide changes made to Boise's Historic Preservation Planning Guidelines. Now in its 14th year, Idaho Gives kicks off today. The multi-day fundraising event for nonprofits across the state is coordinated by the Idaho Community Foundation. They're hoping to build on its record at $5.1 million raised last year. There are many events across the state through the week and prizes for some donors and charitable organizations, including a $1,000 bonus for the recipient of the first donation logged at midnight. That was the Hospice of Eastern Idaho. Nearly 1,300 donors have contributed about $350,000 already. Idaho Gives runs through Thursday. There's more information at idahogives.org. Separately from that, though, a Magic Valley woman is organizing a dinner and auction to raise money for Magic Mountain, the small ski resort near Kimberly, which couldn't open at all this year due to the lack of snow. The Times News reports Lindsay Peterson doesn't know the resort's owners well, but grew up skiing there and wanted to support the mountain after their impossible season. The fundraiser is Thursday evening. Tickets and more information can be found at the Magic Mountain Resort Facebook page. Athletic Club Boise got a third straight sellout and another win on Saturday on its home turf at Expo Idaho, 2-1 over Chattanooga. Tumi Moshabani had the opening goal for Boise just 3 minutes in, and then late in the first half, what proved to be the winning score bounced in off a Chattanooga player for an own goal. Next up for AC Boise, a short turn for Wednesday evening. The team will be in Charlotte, North Carolina. AC Boise will be back at home May 13th against Naples, and then another USL Cup match is May 16th in Boise. And that's your connector for this Monday. I'm Troy Oppie. Be back again with you tomorrow. To stay up to date with the news between now and then, you can download our free app for your smartphone. You can visit boisestatepublicradio.org. Follow us on social media as well. Our general manager is Tom Michael. Our digital strategy manager is Lacey Daly. Our news director is Sasha Woodruff. Thanks for listening. Now, go make it a great day.
You know, every day on Up First, NPR's Golden Globe-nominated morning news podcast, we bring you 3 essential stories. At the heart of each story are questions. What really happened? What really mattered? What happens next? At NPR, we stand for your right to be curious and to follow the facts. Follow Up First wherever you get your podcasts and start your day knowing what matters and why.